in the afternoon here, and it's still, I think it's around 20 out there, but it's cooling off here. And we're going to be talking to our friend here, as you can see on screen, Joe Jackson, Executive Director of Hesed House, Aurora. That's the second largest homeless shelter in the state of Illinois. And we're going to be discussing the current work of Hesed and this winter, time. I would call it the stress. Winter brings on a little more problems
Sure does.
and COVID and other things that are happening at Hesed. And I haven't talked to Joe in I think a few months, maybe. But Joe Jackson is also a member of the Kiwanis Club of Aurora, and I'm proud to be a member of that club too. So welcome, Joe. How are we doing?
Doing well, John. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're going to learn some, so stay with us, folks. Joe's going to share with us some things. Joe, what would you describe right now as the situation right now at Hesed? What would you say right now? How are we doing out there?
We're busy. We're busy. Shelter numbers are up. We do still have a little bit of capacity because, well, frankly, our case managers are doing a great job getting people moved out into places of their own. And then we also have a homeless prevention team that's been doing amazing work. Just this year, last year, the final number was, 1,554 instances where they helped individuals or families avoid eviction or utility shutoffs, all of those different things. So prevented a lot of people from having to experience homelessness, which is great because that comes with a lot of trauma and a lot of undue stress that people don't need. So I'm glad our case managers were able to do that.
Well, that sounds good. I remember you talked about that. You have some funding and helps from the state to help these people with the finding shelter. Is that how that was somewhat?
Right. It was funding through the state of Illinois. And basically, it's aimed at keeping people in their homes, keeping people housed. So, especially after the eviction moratorium wrapped up in October, we saw a huge uptick in need for that. But even prior to the moratorium ending, there were ways people could get evicted. Or, to their credit, a lot of people were very proactive and said, "Hey, when this moratorium ends, I'm going to be so and so behind and need some help," and that type of thing. And our case managers have been working constantly, very, very hard, a lot of long days to make sure that people can stay housed.
That sounds very good. How many individuals and families are you working with right now at Hesed, would you say?
It depends on the day. The numbers go up and down, but on any given day, it's usually all in, including families, probably 225, 230. And that doesn't include the folks that we have out in the community in our permanent supportive housing program. So that's another 60 plus out there.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I haven't been up to Hesed in a little while. You have two sites, right? I mean, well, mm-hmm. they're within the same area, but there's two areas, right? You have across the street and you have the main campus, right?
We have our main building at 659 South River Street, and that currently houses our men's shelter and then COVID isolation shelter, which is typically our family shelter, but we move families off-site for the time being to make some more room in the event we have more cases of COVID and things like that. And then across the street in our 680 building, we have our comprehensive resource center that has all the services folks need to get back up on their feet again. But then it also now has, after December of 2020, a brand new socially distanced shelter space over there as well. And the plan is moving forward to move into the next phase of that construction and convert the rest of the 15,000 square feet in the back of that warehouse to another socially distanced shelter space with some non-congregate elements to it, just to make it a modern shelter space that is honestly prepped and ready for things like COVID.
Now, I remember you were seeking help to do that? Did that work out, the funding and other things to keep that idea going?
So we've raised all the funds for it outside of, there's $1.6 million that's currently held up in the U.S. Senate. It's part of the bill HR 4502. It's an appropriations bill. And so we were nominated for that through Congressman Foster. It passed the House, no problem, but it's been held up in the Senate since August. And that has been, we're waiting with bated breath for that funding to come through, because that's the last bit of funding that we need to complete that project.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mhm.
Wow. I don't know if I've read about that one or heard about that angle, but maybe I missed that. But that's interesting that it's in Congress to help you out.
Yes.
And that's very interesting. Um, how many COVID cases have you had in the recent weeks here? Has that picked up, or what's the story on that, would you say, Joe?
Yes, we've had some pretty significant. We're on the tail end of an outbreak right now, actually. The good news is that we think we're on the other side of our peak. So last week we only had 3 cases. We had 3 people test positive last week.
Okay.
The biggest, the height of our outbreak was, I think it was January 4th and January 5th, where in a 2-day span we had 46 people test positive between staff and guests.
Wow.
So that was tough, but we had contingency plans in place to be able to isolate people on site. So we were able to do that. We made sure that our staffing levels remained strong. God bless our staff, John. What they've gone through these past few weeks, and the number of people who have stepped up and filled in when other people were out and things has been incredible. So we made it through. And yeah, we're looking forward to winter ending here soon, and hopefully that construction moving forward, because what I will say about the cases that we had, a little over 90% of them, of those positive cases, were in our old shelter building, which, if you know anything about Hesed House and our shelter building at 659, it's the old City of Aurora incinerator building.
Right.
Not a building that was ever meant to be a homeless shelter by any stretch of the imagination. And so it definitely wasn't built to be a homeless shelter during a pandemic. So I think it was about 7 or 8% of our cases came out of the brand new shelter space, which, again, fully socially distanced. We get a lot of space between people. It's a big open space, which is great. And so when I say that model and that setup is the future for Hesed House, that's what I mean. The outbreak wouldn't have been nearly as bad if we were able to have gotten that funding completed and get the shelter completed prior to this winter. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. But like I said, we're holding out hope that it happens here before the end of 2022.
Yeah, that's good there. That's good on that front. So I'm going to push up your mission statement. It's basically it's a Matthew. It's Matthew 5:25, I think. Yeah.
Feed the hungry, clothe the naked, shelter the homeless, and give people a chance to hope again.
Right. It's basically from Matthew 5:25 with a little revision there at the end, but that is the gist of Matthew 25, and that's very good. So right now it's pretty cool out there. During the winter season here, this normally brings in people that would be outside or in their car or something, right? Homeless, is that right?
Yes, absolutely. The weather tends to bring us some more folks in. At the same time, though, we have a street outreach team that goes out in the community and seeks out folks who are out there, and we'll bring them supplies, we'll bring them coats and blankets and food and anything they might need. And we call it pennies in the cup. We try to build trust and let folks know that we're there to help them and encourage them to come to Hesed House, even if it's just for a meal. Come and see what we're like. Come have a meal. If you like the meal and things like that, give it a shot to stay the night, that type of thing. But definitely taking baby steps and getting people just to be comfortable with us. Because honestly, come into a homeless shelter anytime of year it can be traumatic. It's a lot of people. It's usually pretty loud. And so for folks who are experiencing homelessness, there can sometimes be some hesitation for that. But we try to build trust to get around that. So,
And there's different reasons for why people are homeless. I mean,
mm-hmm.
we've talked about evictions and job loss, and some of it it's been noted, and I think you would agree that there's mental illness that causes some of these problems, or alcoholism and addictions. But there's various reasons why people are homeless, right, Joe?
Absolutely. You just named quite a few of them. Mental health issues are certainly a major contributor, especially in the population of chronically homeless individuals. So that's folks who have been homeless for more than a couple years. So, but what I'd say all the time, John, is that just because somebody is experiencing homelessness, that doesn't mean they're not a human being. And in my opinion, my humble opinion, everybody deserves a place to live. Everybody deserves those things that we have in our mission statement. Everybody deserves food, clothing, and shelter, and certainly hope. And so now, this time of year more than ever, we certainly call on the public and our partners out there to treat folks who are out there on the streets with dignity, with respect, and seek to help them as best they can.
Amen there. I think I think this is your phone number. Is that 897-2156? Now, they could call that to help, volunteer, or other questions, right? Is that what that number would be used for?
Exactly. If you know somebody that's out there that needs help, they can call that number. If you know somebody who needs help with rent or is facing eviction, they can call that number. People can go to our website too, www.hesedhouse.org. One S in Hesed. John has our logo up there on the screen, which is great. But there's a red Need Help button up there in the right-hand corner that people can click and see the different services and things that we have to offer. For folks who want to volunteer or donate, there's also options to do that on our website. Right now, because of COVID and things, our volunteer opportunities are a little, they're a little limited, but we are still having plenty of groups out there do all kinds of different creative things to help us out. And then last but certainly not least, if anybody's interested in working at Hesed House and helping us save the world, they can apply for, we have a couple jobs open right now on our website too.
Well, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. I'm going to throw up, this is the website, hesedhouse.org, and that's one else. That's got me a few times in the past, but we're learning here, Joe. We're learning. And also, there's an email here at info@hesedhouse.org. You send up a little message that you want to know more about Hesed. Mm-hmm. And besides on their website, they have a Facebook site at Facebook at Hesed House Aurora on Facebook. So you can learn about this ministry several different ways, plus this video. So pass it around, get others interested in Hesed House. Joe, what's some other thoughts that you wanted to leave us with or give us this afternoon that you think we should know as the community, Joe?
Honestly, just that piece that I talked about with folks experiencing homelessness. Especially here as of late, we've seen or heard more and more stories from our guests and from people that are out there in the streets about just not great things happening to folks who are out there and experiencing homelessness. So, just be kind, treat everybody with respect and with dignity, and realize that the folks that are out there, the folks experiencing homelessness, we like to say at Hesed House, we never judge a book by the chapter that we're reading. Our guests at House and people experiencing homelessness, they're people that have had chapters before this, and they will have chapters after this. And so in this chapter, though, we're glad to be here and honored to serve them and help them get back up on their feet again.
Good. That's very good. So remember, Hesed, we give you a few ways to get in contact with Hesed, and I'll put that phone number back up again here right now. 630-897-2156. 2156-630. Joe, we're going to have an interesting guest on Wednesday with me. We're going to have the King County Madam Chair,
Nice.
Corinne. I got to get that last name. Pirogue. Is that how you? I don't know. I met her, but I never really had to use her last name. So anyway, she's going to discuss with us the memorial thoughts she's going to have, because over 1,000 people have died in King County from COVID. And I didn't get my numbers today up, but they'll be on my website, xpin.news, a little later here this afternoon or early this evening. The more numbers on what's happening in King County, and you get your vaccinations down there at the bottom with the VNA or the kingcountyvax.org. Mm-hmm. We want to get people that way. And remember, you can get your masks in the next few days, maybe at the pharmacies. And if you have a website, you can get your COVID tests too by going to covidtest.gov. And I've already got my COVID test request in, Joe. It's already in.
Nice.
If it comes, I got a day early. They did an experimental or something. It was supposed to be last Wednesday. I got it in on Tuesday. I don't know, but it was beautiful. It was about 1 minute, It was easy. But some people I've heard had problems with the apartment address stuff, but I think they probably corrected that, because I guess, they only were going to give one, and when you use the address, and I don't know why how they did that, but they got a little crazy on that one. But we're happy to have Joe with us today, and just remember Hesed House and its various ministries, and you can go to that website and help them out with a donation too, or just generally just pray for this ministry, which is what we got to do.
Very much appreciated.
It's very critical with homelessness and this cold weather. Of course, it's critical all year round. And I appreciate Joe and what he does and his staff. And so I just wanted to highlight what's happening there at Hesed. And we'll have to pray that Congress moves. How much was that again? $1 million? You said 1.3 or something?
1.6.
Oh, 1.6 billion. And that would be a big help to fix up that one on River Street, on the east side of the River Street there. Yeah, that would be great. So I just want to thank Joe Jackson for coming by and visiting with me today. Joe's a good friend, a good man, and we appreciate Hesed House and their work in the community. So remember Hesed House. And again, thank you, Joe, for coming by.
Thank you, John.
And we'll just say right now, God bless. And bye-bye, and we'll see you then on Wednesday. The time's going to be a little different on Wednesday. It's 5:15. Our county executive has a little business before, so it's going to be 5:15. So anyway, God bless. Bye-bye. And again, thanks you, Joe Jackson, Executive Director of Hesed House Aurora. Thank